we are going to speak about the insights from trauma and the journey to healing. And this is not going to be achieved without bringing our people, our friends, our families, it's our people back, whoever they are, and as you said, different religions and different countries. We are all together with you, and it somehow connects to my lecture, which I hope you will see. Okay. Yeah. Something died. Okay. I'm going to speak about something that actually looks very similar to where I'm standing. I'm going to speak about circles. And first I'll go to the, yeah, thank you. The circles that actually include the families and close friends, as we have just heard. These circles are something that I saw in many emergencies where I participated as the WHO Regional Emergency Director. I'm really fortunate to be in Ben-Gurion University for about 2.5 years now, and take and build on to what I've learned there with a great team of researchers from multidisciplines. And what we have learned through different emergencies is the ripple effect. The ripple effect, just like a stone, when a stone is thrown into water, it creates waves, just moving outwards, and many of them, sometimes you cannot even count them, where the circles of vulnerability that we see in every emergencies exist. When we look and do our research and we get to know the country, the communities, the setting, the context, everything, we can then analyze and assess the circles of vulnerability to understand which and who needs what, and what are the challenges, what are their capacities, and how we can intervene to actually towards healing. There are the families and friends, as we heard before, that are hugging as the first circle. They are hugging the victims, the direct victims. And here in the post-October 7th, we have victims with a very diversified background and very diversified events. Some were kidnapped, some were killed, injured, displaced. Everyone has their own way to look and to suffer. We have then the communities, and if we look in the Israeli area and from the Israeli perspective, we could see that regions, different regions in the country needs different, and they were faced with different challenges, so they need different things. Then we have the countrywide. We are all going through a turmoil, as you all know. I don't have to tell you the details, but we should not forget the global perspective. Some of you that are living abroad, and we are very honored to have here, some of you have been faced with anti-Semitism, anti-Israeli, as well as anti-everything. We see it on the streets, in campuses, in parliaments, in so many aspects. And this is something that we want to actually get engaged further. But the interesting thing is that resilience also comes in circles. The same circles that we set for vulnerability can be then assessed for resilience. But what is resilience? Resilience is bouncing back. You get hit and you countermeasure it. You act effectively, efficiently. You are flexible and yet firm. But it's not only building back, it's building back better. We would like to be stronger. We would like to be able to get engaged. And for this, we have different types of activities that we work in the communities. One of those is what I call in Hebrew, in this very specific initiative that we do with Ben-Gurion University and partners that you can see here above. One of these is the collab. In English, you can call it collab, like collaboration. But collab in Hebrew, in the military term, it's close to home, karov labayit. In our health, we call it community for health. Tehila למען בריאות, collab. Okay, so this is a short Hebrew lesson. But what we do, we have the partners that have joined us. And the great idea of collab is that we go to a community, for example, Me'ilia, a village in the northern part of Israel. It's a Catholic Arab village that needed support. We knew that it's going to stay there when the war started. And there, the community itself came out and engaged. We have volunteers in different areas, in medicine, social work, mental health, logistics, environment and health, whatever. They decide what they want, what they need, and we, the partners, tailor for them a very good targeted training program. Then they go, they do, and we have the bottom up within the community. The community itself is able to serve itself. And that's the idea, that until the top down, the government moves in, as we learned from the October 7th, you have a gap there. This gap now is done professionally, but by volunteers. So professionalism is key here, but it's not enough. What we also learned, that volunteering is a great determinant for resilience. Being a volunteer, being active in your community, knowing your neighbors, giving a hand, knowing what to do in peaceful and emergency times is a key. And therefore, collab became more prevalent in different communities now, in different parts, different styles, and each one is different because each community needs different things. But collab that focuses on the circle of community is only one aspect. We also have the BGU4, the Ben-Gurion Research Center, Food Systems, One Health and Resilience, where we do other side, different research there for different circles. One of them, you see the hedgehog, is actually we are trying to link environmental exposures, pollutants, warfare, to health of babies, infants, food system, whatsoever. We have our prepared center that is also doing work on different groups in the community, children and others. So for us, and I'm now heading the School of Public Health, for us, Ben-Gurion University is a pillar of strength. For us, we actually say that the university is more than an academic and research center. It became a lifeline for the communities and for the people. We work with the students, we work with the staff, we are engaging with our communities around us, and we learn from them. And when we learn from them, we will be able, maybe, to contribute to a better world. But before I end, I want to say another thing. For us, hope is not just a sentiment. Hope is a strategy. And we take it together with the people, under the president and the vice president. We are doing everything we can to push forward that hope is something within. We have to be active. We have to volunteer. We have to know our neighbors. We are all one family. And I have the honor to introduce my great friend and colleague, Professor Tehila Refaeli, who will take us through her journey now and lighten up more perspectives. Thank you, Tehila.
Hi, everyone. What does it mean to be a child or an adolescent in Israel following October 7th? You can see here the data of how negatively children were affected here. 55 children were murdered. About 900 children lost at least one of their parents. Almost 20,000 children were recognized as terror victims. So what does it mean to be a child here? Let's think that you are a child living in Tel Aviv. You are not there on October 7 on the border, but still you know about the hostages. You know that people were taken from their home in your country. You hear terrible stories from what happened there through the media. You have maybe one of your parents in reserve duty. And this is only some examples of what every child here experiences. So how does all of it affect mental health? This is exactly what we explore in our study. We had two parts. The first part was quantitative questionnaire to adolescents, and the other part was qualitative interview with experts who met thousands of children throughout the war and had a very wide perspective. I will share with you some of their insights. So, referring to this very negative data, 42% of the adolescents followed the criteria of post-traumatic stress disorder. It means that the trauma is actually hunting them. They think about it, they dream about it, they feel it everywhere, they try to avoid everything that reminds them of the trauma. 42%. One explanation for this can be seen here. 62% of the participants described that they saw graphic content on social media, and there were terrible, terrible stories, pictures, movies, different types of videos that children and adolescents saw following October 7th. So this is actually widen and widen the cycle of trauma. We explore a statistical model to understand what explains post-traumatic symptoms. And we found that gender is a risk factor. Girls were more at risk to experience these symptoms. We also found that if the family experienced economic distress following the war, it was another risk factor. And also feeling overwhelming following the news, following the pictures, following the content on the social media was another risk factor. But on the positive side, we also found resilience resources. We also found that having personal resilience, namely, I'm able to deal with things. I can deal with this challenge. And having family support were both protective factors. Moving to our expert insights, I would like to highlight a few things. First, similar to what Dorit just mentioned, our interviewees mentioned the issue that every child in Israel is exposed in some way. All of them need some intervention. There are many, many layers of exposure. They also refer to the issue that it's not only the war or the October 7th event, but there is also the actually following the COVID-19 and the political crisis, the political conflict in Israel just before the war. They also mentioned the issue of the parents. The parents were not available to support their children during and after the October 7th event. Some of them are still very traumatized and can't support their children. And also, we are talking about how you can develop your identity in very unstable situation. And it's a challenge for both Jewish and Arab children, or especially for adolescents in Israel. I'm going to provide a quote from one of our interviewees, the Vice President of Professional Affairs in the LM Association, who mentioned, "What does it mean to be an Arab teenager? It's something very confusing. It does not matter whether I'm directly involved or not, I'm involved. And it has if I'm guilty until proven otherwise. It does not allow for any growth. It does not allow for the ability to explore, the ability to be curious, the ability to go out. The safe space shrinks more and more. So I'm going to finalize with the challenges and recommendations that our experts mentioned. First, the issue of parental engagement. It's a big challenge to help parents become parents again, because many of them lost that during the event. One of the parents told the social worker that when he was trying to protect his children, he was holding the safe room door and he wet his pants. And he said, how can I be a parent again to my child when they saw me so vulnerable? And this is a challenge for us, for the practitioners, to help parents to gain their place, to find the way to be part of the treatment of their children. Another issue is that we don't have enough professionals in Israel to treat such a big amount of children that need treatment. We don't have them. And we try in our School of Social Work and in other departments, we are trying to do our best to change the situation, but still this is a big challenge of our country. Lastly, we don't have enough evidence-based treatment. Luckily, we don't have many Western countries to compare the situation in Israel to. And therefore, we need to develop more interventions that can treat this, actually not post-trauma, but acute trauma, as one of the interviewees mentioned. She is the head of the support service for children returning from captivity. She said, we understand that we know how to work with post-trauma, but we are not in the stage of post-trauma. We receive reports from the most wonderful and professional therapists. They come and say, what am I doing wrong? No matter what I do, things are getting worse. What am I missing? And we understand that the tools we have are designed for treating post-trauma. We don't know how to work with acute trauma. So we don't have enough intervention, but one intervention was developed here at BGU, and I'm honored to invite Professor Naama Atzaba-Poria to present her work. Thank you for having me.
It's not working. It is working, it's not mine. Okay, it will come up. Okay, I see, okay. Okay. On October 7, I woke up in the morning to the sound of the missile alarm. I ran with my family to the shelter. And in fact, the whole day we ran into the shelter and out. It was a terrible day. As we started to understand the scale of the traumatic event, I knew, being a child developmental psychologist, that I needed to be there with the families that were evacuated from the border of Gaza. So I took my car and I drove to some hotels in the center of Israel. I remember entering to the hotel and seeing many people around, many families, many parents sitting in the lobby and everywhere with their pajamas, and children are running around them, sitting, wandering. And this picture remains similar even weeks and months later. What happened to those parents? I saw parents that were helpless. I was talking one day with one of the mothers on the roof of one of the hotels. And while we were talking, the missile alarm went on. So we ran together to the shelter. She had 3 kids. The 4-year-old held her trousers. The 2-year-old raised her hands for her to be picked up. And the 9-month-old baby, boy, she didn't have more hands for him. So she just handed him to someone else in the shelter. The father, by the way, he was also evacuated with them. But now he was called on reserve duty again, so he was in Gaza. He couldn't help her, and she was very, very anxious also about him. I looked at the children and I saw them looking at her face. They tried to find some comfort,
but she wasn't there. She wasn't emotionally available for them. She was detached. She felt once again that she can't protect her children. On October 7, on that day, she was terrified in the shelter for 12 hours, sitting with them, holding a knife, and knowing that she can't protect them. The husband was around the house trying to protect the family with his gun. I understood there, working with this mother and with many other parents there, that they lost their confidence as parents. They didn't feel that they can be parent again. And in fact, how can one be a mother again after such a trauma? How can one be a parent again while being displaced from home? This is very, very difficult and challenging. But being a child psychologist, this is what I do. I help parents to try and find their confidence as parents and to find a way to connect better to their children. And I do it in practice, I do it in my lab, I did the psychology department, and in fact, in 2018, I established the Duet Center at the university, and this is what we have been doing at the Duet. This is our group up here, and we try to work with group of parents, group of all the adults that work with children, for example, teachers, and to empower their ability to create meaningful relationship with the children. Duet mission is to bridge between all the knowledge that we have in academia on child development and parenting and the community work. So we look at the children, and as Dorit just showed us before, we work with the parents, all the circles, with education and health system, even with nurses, for example, that work with the family. And we actually do it while working with the professionals in the area that can then better support the family and the children. We have been doing many groups until now, all around the country. So after October 7, I came back to my team, to my group, and we said that we need now to adjust our programs to actually meet the needs, the current needs. Because all parents in Israel, not only the one in the border of Gaza, but also definitely the ones in the north, and those in the center of Israel, we all struggle with the situation that we cannot protect our children from the missile, and definitely not from the fear and the threat of the sound of the alarm and all what it involves. Many young children, before they go to sleep, they ask their parents, what will happen if the alarm is on? Who is going to wake me up? They don't want to leave the house because they are afraid that something will happen on the way. So now our mission was to create a program where we can help parents to rediscover their parenting and be again confident so that they can support their children's development and the secure attachment. On October 7th, many parents, thousands of parents, actually lost their sense of security, they lost their trust, and they lost the certainty. And this is a big problem because these are three fundamental foundations for parenting, for all of us. And how can you parent without that? Just think about that. And more than that, children, they cannot develop without these three foundations. So our mission was to create what we call a relative security, a relative trust, relative certainty. Because we all know that perhaps absolute security is an illusion. We can't have it. But in order to parent and for the children's needs, we need to know that we can provide them a relative security. And for that, we, the professional, need to work with the parents to help them to believe in that, to feel again that they can do that. Many programs in Israel now are working on how to help people, how to help parents to process the trauma they experience. Our program looks at the future. We're trying to help parents to find again, to reestablish their parenting, because we do know that children need parents that are strong, parents that hold the hope for them. Otherwise, they won't be able to grow up and develop. So let me share with you three main elements of our program. One is that we need to build a narrative. Children need their parents to tell them what's happening. They need to give a meaning to the experience. And this is very challenging because we don't want to talk with our children about bad people, about terrorists, about the fact that we are not safe. We want to keep them happy and feel that the world is a safe place. But unfortunately, we have to do that in Israel because they feel what's happening around. So we need to give a meaning for that. We, the professional, help the parents in our intervention find the words for them to create a narrative. The second point is that parents come first. We call it holding the holders. So we need to work with the parents so that they can return to their parental role. And then they can better treat their children and things will be better. And the third point is that we work with the natural forces in the community. So we go to the community and we identify who are the professionals working with families and children, and we train them. So we're training the trainers because we do want the program and the ideas that we develop here at the university to stay in the community. I should say that all what we do is evidence-based because we are at Ben-Gurion University and we study, we have our students studying all the intervention, and therefore we can adapt our intervention to the different population, to the Bedouin, to the Jewish Orthodox, to the secular, north, south. So we have the adaptation and we check and we see that it works. And in fact, our research shows that after the intervention of 12 meetings, for example, group meetings, we can see an improvement in child anxiety and depression, behavioral problem, and even in post-traumatic stress symptoms. And also the parents, they show less depression and anxiety. We also like looking and asking the children, what do you feel? And let me share with you a picture of a 4-year-old child. And please, just I ask you not to take picture of that, because the mother agree, of course, that I will show it here. This is a picture of a child whose father was killed on October 7th. And he drew the family. And you can see on yellow, we can see the father. He's very big, perhaps on top of all the family between the upper world and the downward. And here we can see this is the little child who drew the picture and his sister. Look at their face. They're sad, they're worried, they feel the crisis. But most importantly, look how he drew his mother. She smiles, she's strong, she holds the hope for him. And this is what we want to see. We want to know that our children know that the parents can take care of them. And then they will be able to recover from this very, very difficult and traumatic time that we're still experiencing here in Israel. So thank you all. And to close our symposium, which was very, very serious and painful, and as you can see, it's called shared reality. We research it, but we also experience it. It's all together. I would like to thank my colleague Dorit and Tehila for their wonderful talks. I would like to thank you all. So thank you all for being here with us and supporting us. And I hope that these 3 talks gave you a taste of the important work that we're doing here at Ben-Gurion University, at the different circles of intervention and involvement during this difficult time. I believe very much that we, the researchers of Ben-Gurion University, are the beacon of light for leading the intervention and research in the area of risk and resilience. Thank you. And most importantly, I've been asked to invite you all for lunch at the Halperin Student Center, right? The Teavon.